which I don't like. Where is this odds channel? Yep. Welcome. I cannot wait here as we are jammed with NFL playoff content on the Odd Shopper betting show. Myself, more importantly, Ben Rasa is here. His mind, we have brought his brain out of the cryo freezer where it sits for about 12, 13 hours a day, just contemplating over line, spread, action, public money, sharp action, everything you can. Mike Awesemo is producing. We have 6 games to get to, my friend. And in this 30-minute or so stretch show, last time I checked with the math, that's about 5 minutes a game. So we still want everybody to hit that thumbs up button right away. We still want you to subscribe to the Odd Shopper channel here. And we want, as we always do each and every time we do a show here, you to tell us in the chat what you're locking up. Lock up anything you want. There are no rules for that. It can be anything you can physically place a wager on. You tell us what to lock up. It'll get discussed before we get out of here, as I know Ben has a lock it up, as do I. But, Mr. Rasa, the NFL playoffs have arrived.
They have 6 games over 3 days. Couldn't ask for much more. It's going to be a fantastic week from betting to DFS, everything in between. So we're going to do it a little differently today. We're going to go rapid fire. We're going to go to each game. You're going to give a prediction, side or total, your favorite bet and a favorite player prop, and then we're going to debate it for a couple minutes. We don't know each other's picks. That was one thing before the show. We wanted to keep it organic. So I'm interested to see where you lean in these games. We've talked about a couple on previous VODs, but there's a couple games I'm very interested to see where you're leaning at first glance.
Sounds like you want me to go first.
Well, you won the coin toss. How about that? You can
right?
defer. We're going to snake it. We'll do a snake draft, but that first game of the first day, we got the Raiders Bengals.
Right. Okay. Here's what I'll do. I'll start first. And I know right away I'm taking a play that both of us like. But what I'm doing to make up, because I'm such a great teammate here with you on this Odd Shopper betting show, is I did not take the player prop that I know from our Odd Shopper VOD this morning that we did on this game. I know you want. So I took the Bengals -4.5. We'll start there. Look, the Raiders are a paper playoff team. I have more confidence that the Steelers will cover that 12.5-point line than the Raiders will be in this game +6. So it's time to expose the Raiders. They backdoor their way in. They come off one of the most bizarre set of circumstances just to get in the playoffs. We'll talk about that Niners-Rams game later. That's another one to look at. And Shelton already locked up the Niners money line. Let's start there, Ben Rasa. -4.5. Bengals cruise against the Raiders.
Agree. The Raiders have won 4 straight by 2, 4, 3, and 3 points. They've been very fortunate. They've beaten the teams they needed to, no doubt about it. The game could be very, very cold. Not that I think that's a huge deal, but Cincinnati should be ready. And this is just a situation. You've got Burrow in a passing attack that really is going to cause some problems. Cincinnati on the year, 8.7 yards per pass attempt, number 1 in the NFL. I'm not sure that the Raiders are going to be able to slow that down. On the other side, Carr has done a good job, and he's got Waller and Renfro and co. I just think on the road, 4.5 is a fine number. Bengals get it done in reasonably easy fashion. I will lay the points to get my card started.
All right, so we're both taking the same play here to get this thing started. Okay, all right. Now that's legal. We can do that. One doesn't take the other. Okay, I didn't know.
No, it's agree or disagree. So we can join forces.
We both agree.
Yes.
Now it's your turn. You hit us with the first player prop. I'll respond with mine.
So this is one, again, I think in the same game, I'm going to give a stipulation, check the weather. I'm comfortable with this number right now. Joe Burrow, over 262.5 passing yards. Going to Odd Shopper. What do we always do on the show? We go to oddshopper.com. We check what our projections are looking at. Got him at 290. And I agree here. Again, 8.7 yards per pass attempt. Got a little chance to rest there at the end of the year. I think that was needed after a long stretch. I don't know what else to say. If the weather is good, I think Joe Burrow clears that number pretty easily. So that is my favorite prop in this game.
Agree. Love that. Odd Shopper loves the margin. And we talked about this on the Odd Shopper VOD we did this morning with this specific game, where I recognize the wind can be a problem, but I also look at these two teams in this specific setting, and think Burrow is going to throw unless it's like 25-mile-per-hour winds staring down that, kills a 300-yard drive down to like a $120, something like that, then yeah, I could see it truly being impacted. But I love going over this number because it's still low, even if there is wind. So totally agree with that. Now I'm going to take Odd Shopper here and combine the play with Jamar Chase, which is over 69.5 receiving yards, with Alex's projection, which is also free. And that's such a separation from Odd Shopper. Anywhere else you can get line shop for you is that you're not getting Alex's projection free right there. Technically he has Chase down for 84.6. So instead of laying a minus 120, 125, something a little heavier there, I'm going to take a little bit of a risk and create somewhat of a middle ground here, Ben, and go Jamar Chase 80+ receiving yards as his alternate. So I'm playing the projection more than I'm playing the number, but at the same time, I feel confident with still being under that projection.
Yeah, again, I think that.
Oh, and I'm getting a plus return.
You're getting plus
well.
money. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So that's an important thing to note there. No doubt about it. This is a game I feel confident in the Bengals side of things. I think the Raiders will try to run the ball. I'm not really looking at anything actionable with Josh Jacobs right now. To me, I want to stick with Burrow, maybe some of the pass catchers, and I want to lay the points with the Bengals.
All right, snake draft. So I just ended. Now it's back to you, my friend. Side total, first quarter, fourth quarter. Who wins it? What do you have in this Bills-Patriots game?
Another cold game. So it's the trilogy. First game, real quick. Patriots threw the ball 3 times. Tornado wins, went up to Buffalo and outclassed them. Bills responded, went into Foxborough. I thought handled that game really well. Josh Allen looked good. Singletary has found his form. Now they're back in Buffalo. I'm going to lay the 4. I think that the Bills are just simply the better team. I think this is one where the quarterbacks, you have Mac Jones, who's done a good job as a rookie in managing the game. And I think he will try to do that against a guy that is in MVP discussion year in and year out. Josh Allen's dynamic. He can run the ball. He's got the weapons. And Singletary has been a very positive revelation for them. If they get a running game in Buffalo, I think it's a very dangerous team. Again, it's going to be freezing. I don't think that really matters. It probably is a better thing for the Patriots. Like if they played in a dome, forget it. Josh Allen would absolutely tear them apart. But close game, ugly game. I still think the Bills and the points is where I'm laying, though. I feel comfortable with -4.
I want everybody to pay attention because we're about to create a same game parlay here for you on the fly with Ben's -4. And I think this does correlate nicely here because you're talking about 2 teams that have played exceptional defense and have limited teams scoring points. Patriots, I don't know if you know this, Patriots, second best defense against the pass, second best scoring defense in the NFL. You know who number 1 is? The team they're playing. Give me the under 44, especially with weather, especially with any concerns about that. I love it's one of my favorite plays outside of that Cardinals-Rams game we're going to get to, but give me the under 44 here. I love it, and I don't see how New England scores points. Even Buffalo can get up to somewhere like that mid-high 20s, and I think that's probably the ceiling here. So that's my play on the game.
It's fine with me. Again, these teams have seen each other twice already. I think that does help. Ugly weather. It's the playoffs. There's a feeling out process. And I do think that both teams, for different reasons, are going to want to run the ball. The Bills have found more balance late with Singletary. The Patriots, their best chance to win this game is to do what they did in the first matchup and just run the ball. Obviously, Mac Jones is going to throw the ball more than 3 times, but I don't think they want him throwing the ball 30 times. That's for sure. Efficient, low-key, slow game. I don't know exactly what the Bills want to do in terms of tempo. I don't think it's too relevant. I agree with what you said at the end there. To me, the Bills can still score 28 points, 31 points, and they could still win it if they really dominate, and it could go under that total. So
would you be shocked if you saw 31-10?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like
yeah.
I would be more shocked if the Patriots score like mid to high 20s. I really don't see that happening. And for that reason, you're really asking the Bills, for something like that, not to do anything too crazy. And I don't think they do. I'm going to throw my player prop out real quick here. I don't have anything that I love. Cole Beasley over 33.5 receiving yards would be my favorite. We have him projected for 43. Playoff game. I think those are the type of players to get more involved. A safety blanket Obviously, they've got the home run threats coming off games targets 11, 8, 6, and 5. I'll take any of those. I think he's around that number with that. Competitive game. If it's windy, even better. Cole Beasley over that 33.5.
So we created an example where the Bills can score a ton of points and still hit that under. I don't necessarily think that's going to play out. I also think this might be the first prop or play that I give you that you won't like, because on the surface, it doesn't correlate. And you schooled me on that this morning, but I can't ignore that Damian Harris has scored a touchdown in each of his last 5 games. I can't ignore that Damian Harris has at least 1 rushing touchdown in 10 of his last 11 games. So even if the Patriots get 1 touchdown or 13 points, a touchdown, and they missed the 2-point, what have you, nobody stands a greater chance of the Patriots scoring a touchdown than Damian Harris. And I have to throw the anytime TD in because I'm getting plus 120, 125 back on it. Again, it doesn't correlate nicely in a nice big package here with the under 44, Ben, but I'm not thinking that the Patriots get shut out either.
I get it. It's not a bet that I'm opposed to. It's just not one that I'm making. It's a pass for me.
Okay, that's fair.
Harris is someone who's been an absolute touchdown machine. You just talked about that. It's interesting, though. It's not great volume. Maybe we see that more in the playoffs, but the last 6 games, he only has 11 or more carries in one of those games. He's hovering around 9, 10, 11 carries, and he doesn't really catch the ball. So you need to make good on that. Now, he is a goal line back. He's obviously reliable, and it's that type of game. So I have no problem with the number. For me, that's the beauty of betting, though. You don't have to take a position on everything. I just have that off my card, not shorting it, but not playing it.
So we did see this earlier when we were talking about the Bengals-Raiders game, and Dan asked on the chat, would you add Cincinnati money line to that same game parlay? Which same game parlay? Just so.
I think he was talking about, and Dan can chime in, just like what you were doing on the screen, talking about maybe pairing some of those up. And I'm okay with throwing Cincy in as if you're talking about like the Burrow over and things like that.
Yeah, I think, look, if you're going Jamar Chase 80 plus, Joe Burrow, or just go over Jamar Chase's passing yards to make it easy, over Chase's passing yards, over Burrow's passing yards, Chase's receiving yards, over Burrow's passing yards, and the Bengals money line, absolutely. I think you probably get a better return, though, Dan, if you just laid the 4.5. If you don't want to, then that's fine. But I think either work, right?
Yeah, I mean, again, that's just really betting on the Bengals in how they do what they do, which is a very, very prolific passing attack.
We'll get to Kick's point coming up on the Eagles game here. I know Mike and I were chatting ahead of time, so a lot of thoughts here in Philadelphia about that. But we go from the Patriots-Bills. We've covered this here. Now to Tampa Bay specifically. And it's your turn. No, it's my turn because I just ended last with Damian Harris. Look, I'm going to give you 3 scenarios that I think are going to happen in this football game. The first one I don't think happens because of one of the other 2. If you're not confused yet, trust me, I'll explain everything. The Eagles could get blown out. They very well could get blown out. I just don't see it because even when they were a bad football team at the start of the season for the first real half of the season, they were still able to come back in games. Some of it is because they turned to softer defenses. Another part of it is just Jalen Hurts has the capability of breaking a big run, especially if defenses are softer up front and allowing the pocket to move around a little bit. Containment is great on film until you're actually out there. Granted, they saw him one time before, but that's the case, is the Eagles were able to come back in that game late and make it look closer than it was. The other possibility here is that the Eagles are for real, Ben, is that this run that we've seen the Eagles go up against bad football teams and bad quarterbacks was more of a tune-up, and this team will stay in the game. I got it at 9.5. It's just impossible for me to pass up anything plus 7.5 or over for this Eagles team. Lock it up right now, Eagles plus 8.5.
With you, agree once again. 3 for 3. I like that. I like the points in this game. Definitely wouldn't. I don't think it's going to take this much money. If it starts to flirt with 7, that's going to be in the pass territory. But if you can get 8.5, I'm comfortable with it for a couple of reasons. The first is that Tampa's invincible run defense is not actually invincible at this point. They're still very strong against the run, but like they're not at the Saints level. They've been middle of the pack. They're giving up 4.3 yards per rushing attempt. That's tied with teams like Denver, Cincinnati, Jacksonville, Atlanta. it's not where they're in the 3.5 range where you can't run on them. We know the Eagles want to run the ball. They want to shorten the game, all those things. And then we have to talk about the injuries. Tampa has nobody left offensively. The wide receivers is a who's who of walking wounded. That's got to have an effect. So I still think Tampa's the better team. They may, in fact, find a way as they're expected to do. But I think this could stay close. If the Eagles can run the ball even remotely effectively, inside a touchdown either way.
All right. So is that your play as well? Or did you have another one of the game?
No, that's my play. I'm with you.
Now hit us up with your player prop from this game specific.
So this one is a little tough. I think it is a Sunday game. I honestly would advise people to maybe wait a little bit. I don't see a great value here, and it mostly speaks to personnel issues on Tampa's side. We just don't know exactly who's going to be out there. Honestly, your boy, Jalen Hurts' passing yards, and chat brought this up, 197.5. It's pretty appealing. We haven't projected for 243, which is a massive over. I don't think I'm all the way there, but I do think he could clear 200 yards passing in this game. If they're trailing, they're going to need it. I do think Philly wants to run the ball, but timely, effective shots down the field. Jalen Hurts, he's had 199 or more passing yards in 3 straight games. I'm going to go over that number for my player prop.
189.5 is what Kick said he got that at.
Yeah, that's a very good number.
Yeah, I mean, my goodness, it's moved up significantly, and rightfully so. It's a little sharper, but compared to our projections, I mean, it's just domination. I'll stay with Hurts here and go a little bit of a different angle. They come in bunches on the ground for Hurts, rushing touchdowns, but he has a really good shot here, I think, of being the main threat, and he's back to being the goal line vulture that has frustrated so many people rostering Miles Sanders and others in DFS. But the anytime touchdown here at north of 200 seemed like the best play for Hurts, in my opinion, because, again, the Bucs defense is not as vaunted as made out to be on the ground, Ben, but they're still a tough unit. And the Eagles running backs have been dealing with injury. Jordan Howard, Miles Sanders expected back. They still have a couple of guys in Boston Scott and lesser to Kenny Gainwell that I don't know how much you can count on, especially in one game against a tougher rush defense. The one variable in this from 80 yards out or 8 feet out is Jalen Hurts. And we've seen Hurts be such a target or threat to run the ball as they get closer to the goal line. They don't just hand the ball off to Jordan Howard. They would rather Jalen Hurts bring the ball in. So if I can get him at plus 225, plus 230 on an anytime TD scorer, I'm going to take that, Ben.
I mean, again, you're getting plus money there. You're going to need north of 2-1 in a prop like that, but Hurts is mobile, aggressive game. A lot of game scripts can get there with something like that.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is we've seen it already. Yeah. And right, I mean, it's something, it's part of their MO, which is he's leading the league's leading rushing attack. He has no problem tucking and running with the football. The Eagles offense has made it a concerted effort to give him the ball when they're on the goal line. And then, oh, by the way, they run a shit ton of RPOs, which also puts the ball in Hurts' hand if he chooses to. So it just seems like the game flow, it would take, or pardon me, it just seems like a couple of different game flows could lead to Hurts scoring one touchdown. And again, they come in bunches, which is why I think this return is so high, north of 2-1, but I think it's a little off. Like, I was surprised. I thought this would be more around 180, something like that.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Honestly,
okay.
Not bad. Not bad.
Now, all right. So me from Jalen Hurts to our next game here, right?
Yeah, anything 3 down, 3 to go. Here we go.
Yeah, Kick likes Gronk over 5 receptions on Prize Picks. Let me tell you, man, if you can get Gronk over receptions, over receiving yards, it's not something we talked about in this game, Ben, but I think Rob Gronkowski and Dallas Goedert stand to have gigantic receiving games from reception to receiving yards, and Odd Shopper, I think, agrees. All right. Let's go to Cowboys-Niners. Now, this is me here, right?
Yeah, you want to lead us off? Go ahead. This is going to be a wild game. This could be the game of the week.
Yeah, I look, I don't trust San Francisco coming off that win. I just don't. Dallas has been better than advertised on defense. They're a good football team. And I think what's happened is we've seen some injuries to the wide receiver position earlier in the season. We've seen a clear step back for Zeke Elliott in the backfield. But with both backs healthy and really this defense playing better, I love laying 3 here. I have no problem at all. I love laying 3 at home for Dallas. I was surprised with other lines being a little north of 3 that they weren't even laying a hook. And I know the Niners are good. The Niners earned it. They come off that big win against the Rams in overtime, but playoffs are not, man. It's still, I don't know. There's a lingering of letdown in the air for me. So I'll lay the 3 at home.
So this is, of the 6 games, the one I feel least confident about, but I'm on the other side. I'm going to disagree. Okay. I think that the Niners, it's something, and maybe I'm just kind of crafting a narrative, but I think when you have a win and you're in type game and you're able to do it in that type of fashion, when you're down 17-0 and you come back, it is a catalyst. And we've seen this when wild card teams get hot and then they end up knocking off the number 1 seed who was sitting at home. And the Cowboys, yeah, they played their starters, but they played a meaningless game basically where Jimmy G and against the Rams had to lead them down in overtime. Debo, Kittle, 2 really good teams. Dallas's defense is very, very aggressive, and I really respect it. I think the Niners are a good team. To me, this is a completely 50-50 game. If I find 3.5, I will bet this game in real life. If it stays at 3, I may just leave it off the card altogether. But if I had to make a pick, I'm taking the Niners with the points.
Okay. What's your player prop?
Player prop, man. It's just, one of the problems with player props in this game is I have no semblance of how the game goes from a tempo, from a scoring standpoint. But I'm just going to stick with what I said about the Niners. And to me, George Kittle has been kind of, behind the scenes a little quiet to Debo, who's just unbelievable. I think they've swung it too much. George Kittle's receiving yards is at 48.5. That's pretty low for a playoff game, one that they could be trailing. The game is in Dallas, so no weather concerns. I would expect him, if they win, to be a catalyst of why they won, and if they trail, to be very busy in a pass-happy attack. Over 48.5, definitely my favorite player prop here.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's one of the best we've brought up across the board, to be honest with you. Super low number. Quarterback issues aside. Look, OddsShopper in this game has a higher X win of Garoppolo going over his completions, granted only by 1% point, than Kittle going over those receiving yards. Both are above 70%. Both stand a really good shot of happening, and both are correlated to where Garoppolo's not going to complete 24 passes all to Deebo Samuel or, 20 to him and then 2 to Ayuk. Kittle's going to be a huge involvement in this game. I love that. I'm actually going to take something very similar, but go back to the side that I'm on, which is I think there's a strong correlation here. Dallas is covering this 3-point spread. They're up by enough to run the football. Again, like you mentioned, this number is too low like it was for Kittle. It's too low for Zeke. OddsShopper loves it. They're smashing the over 45.5 rushing yards for Elliott. We have him projected for just south of 68 rushing yards. So what I would suggest out there is a same game parlay with Kittle over and Zeke over, receiving, rushing respectively. And now you got something.
Another good one. My indication is that Zeke for a while was banged up. Week 18, the guy had 18 carries in a game that they really didn't need to push him. That has to tell me that he's pretty good to go here. So I would expect a really healthy volume, because his volume, he was getting around 20, 15, 17 carries. Then it dipped to 9 and 9. And I was like, oh boy, we're just not going to see him in a true workhorse back. He's kind of had a resurgence, and I don't think the books have caught up to what he did in week 18. If he gets 18 carries, I mean, he's gonna get there on volume alone. So I think 2 good player props we've actually uncovered in a tough game.
Yeah, and it's a really smart, sharp point by you, which is an easy way to indicate how somebody feels after being hurt is their usage. And on top of it, you brought this up. The Eagles weren't even playing most of their starters into the second half. These guys were still out there for Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole nother show. We don't have the time for that today, but I would assume that the Cowboys were smart enough to know that if Zeke was limited, that he would have been the first guy off the field.
All right, let's keep it moving here. I have an outside the box play, with the Chiefs game. And I can't lay 12.5 at home for Kansas City. I just can't do it. But They've won 13 straight games where they've been favored by 7.5+ points. It's hard for me to ignore that as much as it is for me to ignore how difficult it is to cover double-digit lines at home. And when I say win, I mean straight up win those 13 in a row. So what I've done is I've taken the Chiefs as a money line. That's my anchor. I'm going to use this also in a same game parlay, by the way, with my player prop that I'll get to. And the Chiefs minus 700 with a very attainable, and you'll hear, I'm going to save this, a very attainable player prop is going to get me plus 120 or so north back of this. So what I'm doing is I'm taking pretty much a lock here at minus 700, and I'm using it. Look, you can use it on anything. You could use it with any play you want, but if you take anything at minus 110, the Chiefs minus 700 with any play you want across the board that gets a minus 110 return is going to get you plus 126 back. So the Chiefs aren't losing this game. I just can't trust that big line.
I could write a full novel of times that I've used like a super juiced money line to move a spread from like minus 115 to plus 110 because I know they're not going to lose. And then they lose. And I'm with you that I have the
say that out loud, Ben Rasa, that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to beat the Chiefs outright in Kansas City.
Not only am I not saying that, I'm going to just lay the points. I think the Chiefs absolutely slaughter them. I just minus 700. You're going to be fine. They're going to win the game. There's no doubt. Just like the Colts are going to beat the Jaguars. It happens though. It's the NFL in Arrowhead. I don't even know the path for what Pittsburgh could do to cause them any trouble, because Kansas City, even if they're not efficient, they're going to score enough. And the Steelers are not a playoff team. They're just not good. It's pretty clear. It would take a miracle of epic proportions. I'll keep it very simple. They played this game only a couple weeks ago, and it was 36-10.
Wasn't close.
It's just going to be a repeat of that. I'll anything inside 14.
By the way, that's the same total, that final, and 46 points is what we have now. And I still can't trust the under because the Chiefs could do the 95% of the damage. And then all of a sudden the touchdown, which would be built into this total for the Steelers, happens. And then they get that sneaky field goal or something stupid that kills you. So I don't want to mess with the total for that reason.
No, I'm with you. Totals with the team in a game like this, where one team can literally, 90% of the overall total, is very dangerous. It is a rough game. Listen, it's the most lopsided game for a reason. The Chiefs should absolutely smoke them. If the Chiefs for some reason start slow, you should potentially live bet them. Halftime, full time. The Chiefs roll in this. I can't say it any stronger. Everyone thinks that though. Other than that, I mean, Tyreek, if we get word that he's fine, maybe that was more precaution than anything else. He hurt his heel in fine. That game. 68
Go
and a
with
half.
it. Go with it. Go on.
You like the over there? I mean, that's
not only do I like the over, that's my other play here.
Okay.
To bring the Chiefs minus 700 and Tyreek Hill, and it's over 70.5, depending on where you look. So 68.5 is where OddsShopper can still find it for you, depending on the state. But yes, that now brings me to a same game parlay of plus 115.
Yeah, again, you're going to save some juice, but you got to be really careful with those heavy money line favorites, because it only takes one a month to lose to not be it's tough. But again, I can't minus 700 favorites where 90% of them win. The Chiefs would be at the top of my list, even amongst those teams. I feel very strong that this checks out. They're at home. The Steelers are the Steelers. Obviously, I'm not going to say that anything crazy is going to happen.
No, and we talk a lot about the Steelers. For some reason, they've popped up a bunch on our shows here. We've been paying attention. They're terrible. They're not terrible. Good. No, they're awful. All right, one more game here. Why don't you have the honors, my friend? Okay. Go wherever you like.
And I will say, this is fun doing this. If you are just hopping in for the first time, checking out the show, getting some picks, you like what you see, or you just want to support us, hit that thumbs up. It means a lot. It really helps us with the algorithms. We're building up the channel. It's been a great time. And we have so much content here at OddsShopper that you want to check out. And it's completely free for you guys. So if you like that and you want to subscribe, just hit that subscribe button. You'll get all those notifications. We have content from, Evergreen, where we're talking about how to construct this, how to build strategies, to VODs like this and live shows where we're actually giving you guys picks. A lot of fun, great community here. and we hope you'll be part of it. Last
Yeah,
game.
we really do have a fun, just real quick to build off of that. We have such an awesome, inviting community. Like there's no ego out here on the chat. Everybody will give their own plays, really sharp minds as well. This is fully interactive. So
Well,
as much as
true.
yeah,
because in another chat, the hatred for the minus 700 Kansas City Chiefs, the pitchforks will be coming for you. But here it's all love.
Oh my God.
That's
what
we do.
You know,
we're a community. All right, Monday Night Football, another trilogy. This is a tough one. I've struggled with the Cardinals all year. I was really shorting them, and they kept winning. Then they fell off pretty strongly. But the Rams are an anomaly. I'm going to go to Odd Shopper as I'm looking at right now. There's a couple of Rams minus 3.5s out there. I'm going to take the Rams minus 3.5. I like that. Just, Stafford over Kyler. The defense will do enough. They've got the backs. They're at home. Kyler Murray's first playoff game. Rams get it done. Tough team. Jekyll and Hyde all year, though.
I got in at 4.5. I'm okay at 3.5.
Well, that's a great number too. If you're taking the points,
I am, and I'm still taking. I would still take 3.5 at this point. They're the best outside of Dallas, and remember that after this week because Dallas is also 8-1 ATS on the road. The Cardinals win and they cover games. They just beat the Cowboys 2 games ago on the road. It's what they do. Remember that old commercial, right? Like, oh, you do this, it's what you do. It's what the Cardinals do. They cover games on the road. I have to, this is one of these where you have to keep riding until it bursts. They have paid off exponentially. If you have taken the Cardinals to cover every single road game, you went 8-1 this year, Ben Rasa. How can you ignore that going into this game, especially because the Rams, they come off that deflating overtime loss. They're looking around. Matthew Stafford's first playoff game with the Rams. I don't know, man. I got the Cardinals here.
With lost. Yeah, it's a tale of two teams. They were 7-0 and they finished the season, 1-4. It's been a little rough, and I don't know exactly why that is. I also don't know why they're better away from home. That makes no sense. Probably just variance, honestly. But I look at the Rams. If Stafford, you almost have to budget in a mind-boggling turnover, and they've been able to compete with that. If he can play a clean game, and that's a huge if right now, I do think that the Rams will kind of just slowly but methodically get it done. We've got some time, though. This is a Monday night game. We've got a show again. We're not going to give away all the takes on this one because you and me will be breaking this down Monday afternoon.
I'll give you one more to think about on the way out here. Arizona, cover machine. If you like the points, especially since they're on the road, first quarter spread, you can get them plus a half point. I would definitely think long and hard about the Cardinals coming out in the first quarter, as we've seen them on the road playing sharp and really having the Rams now playing catch up. Not to say the game's over, that I don't even have Arizona winning this thing outright, but I'll take the 3.5 and I'll take them at plus a half. Even if it's a draw at the end of the first quarter, you know that you've got it covered. I think Arizona stays in this game from start to end.
I don't even disagree with. I expect it to be a very close game. The Rams have the talent. The Cardinals have the talent. Two unknowns, wild card teams in every sense of the world. I know it's wild card weekend, but just they've shown flashes of it. And then at times, I don't even know if either of them belong amongst the teams. But I want to ask you last question before we get out of here. And I guess it's kind of like the lock it up of the games we went over. We talked about all 6. If you could only bet one side, who would it be?
So not player props included, right?
Not player props, because player props, I think we've nailed some really good ones. But if you were just picking a side, if you had one team,
shit, this is tough. I'm gonna take 3 out immediately. Now I'm down to my top 3, which is Arizona plus 3.5. Well, technically I got in at 4.5, but I'll play the current line now because you asked me right now. Arizona plus 3.5, Dallas minus 3, under 44. I'm going under 44. I think that's my favorite. Across the board here, because I think it also correlates really nicely with the Bills covering. The lower the scoring the game in the game, the more need and emphasis there'll be on points and the more pressure on the 2 quarterbacks. I just defer to Josh Allen here. That's not reinventing the wheel by any means, but that's my strongest. What about you?
I'm basically in sync. So I'm gonna eliminate. Certainly, I'm eliminating the Cowboys game. I'm eliminating the Rams game. I do think the Chiefs just crush them, but I don't want to mess around. They could be up 20 and not cover. So we're down to those 3, the first 3 games, actually. To me, it comes down to the Eagles or the Bills. And I'm going to take the Bills. I think that the Bills are just, again, Josh Allen at home, everything you want. If they can't get it done here, you have to really start asking some questions. They're a Super Bowl contender team. And I don't think that New England, although they've made strides, but with a rookie quarterback, when you're at home, you should hold serve comfortably. I do think that the Eagles stay in the game against Tampa, just a little more unknown. And although you're getting a good number at 8.5, Bills -4, my favorite side on the board.
Love it. Appreciate everybody hanging. Ben's going to tell you about all of the fantastic things we have here going on the channel on our way out. But look, hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you're subscribed. That's huge here as we're building this community. I did see a couple lock it ups, non-football. Dan, 59.5 in the first quarter. I actually got in 58.5 on a book. So by all means, I love that play. I'm tailing Dan. And my man here, Shelton in the house, got Kevin Na top 10 at the Sony. I got him live at plus 2,500 to win the damn thing. So let's go.
I mean, he does have good equity in the winning market. I think his miscut equities through the roof. That's different story for a different time, but absolutely. We've got so many deals, so many things going on here at Awesemo, from Awesemo to Awesemo odds to Odd Shopper and whatnot. Awesemo.com/promos. It's a great resource that a lot of people don't look at. You can get all the deals that we have going on, and we've got one on the screen, code SUPERWILD for $1 NFL Express Pass. That is a great deal for the week, but there are other deals as well. I would just encourage everyone to get over there, and certainly on your way out, hit that like button and head over to Odd Shopper. You don't even have to sign up. It's completely free. It won't be forever. Take advantage of getting our projections integrated right in there. It's a great deal. And look at our man Mike on the screen. There's that super wild card sale. It's going to get the player rankings, the ownership rankings, and showdown, single game, all those tools for DFS and betting for $1. I mean, that's insane. Go to the car, get a couple quarters, and hop in our Discord when you do.
And you gotta look at that last comment there by Awesemo. Get out of here, Mike. We're out of here. We'll see you on Monday. We love you all. Thanks for hanging with us.